and the senators who had to leave, I want to thank you all for being here and participating in this rollout. We forgot to mention earlier the individuals who actually funded our study, and that was the Gates Committee, the Carnegie, Joyce, Kaufman, MacArthur, Spencer, and of course it was under the rubric of the Aspen Institute. So I wish we'd give them a big round of applause because we couldn't have done it without their help. My friend Governor Barnes has already described how many hearings we held and how difficult it was getting all the testimony in, but we were able to do that. We learned a great deal as commissioners traveling this country. And we learned about the strength and the weakness of this law and the implementation of it. Our resulting recommendation largely focused on 4 broad areas. 1, improving accountability to accelerate progress and improve student achievement and the closing of achievement gaps. 2, effective school improvement and quality student options. 3, ensuring that teachers are effective in the classroom and that principals are also effective school leaders. And number 4, rigorous standards tied to college and workplace readiness. I will make a few brief remarks on the Commission's recommendations for improving No Child Left Behind's accountability requirements, as well as our recommendations for ensuring that quality options will be available for students and for improving our ability to help struggling schools to succeed and improve. Governor Barnes then will cover the other topics that I mentioned. NCLB has brought a stronger focus on accountability for results, as well as a commitment to ensuring that all children, regardless of race or economic status, achieve at a high level. In our hearings, roundtables, and meetings with administrators, with principals and teachers, the Commission consistently heard strong support for holding schools accountable for the performance of their students. However, a great many of those that we heard from described No Child Left Behind's current adequate yearly progress, more commonly referred to as the AYP requirement, as a blunt instrument that needed to be refined. The Commission agreed and felt there was need for more precise information on student performance that would allow us to give credit to those schools that are actually making significant progress with kids who are still struggling and behind. The Commission recommendations that No Child Left Behind accountability requirements should be strengthened by allowing states to use growth models in their accountability systems under the law. We made those growth models very tough, however, but we did take into consideration the importance of improvements for 3 years. However, the mere existence of growth is not enough. We need all of our children in order to reach proficiency. We recommended that states be required to ensure that students are on a 3-year track to becoming proficient for states to count these children under their accountability systems. The Commission also heard strong support for No Child Left Behind requirement to be able to report student performance data separated by subgroups, disaggregation. This is absolutely critical if we're going to remain focused on closing unacceptable achievement gaps. However, the way in which some states have determined which subgroups are included in their accountability system caused us a great deal of concern and some pain. Many of you are aware of the Associated Press stories, which documented the exceedingly large numbers of children that were not counted in state accountability systems because they did not belong to a group that was big enough to be counted. And they made sure they wouldn't because they expanded the size of the in-groups. The AP estimated that more than 1.9 million children were made virtually invisible because of these abuses. The Commission found this alarming and absolutely unacceptable. To respond to this, the Commission recommends tightening the requirements for states in determining their subgroup sizes by limiting them to a maximum of 20. This will ensure that we have a more accurate picture of which schools are actually succeeding and which schools needs help and interventions. The The Commission is also very concerned about whether we, as a country, are doing enough to ensure that our children are really being prepared to succeed in the increasingly competitive global economy. No Child Left Behind currently requires states to start testing in science beginning next school year. However, the law does not require that those results of those tests have to be used for accountability purposes. The Commission believes that this is an absolute mistake. Strong performance in science is extremely important for a student's future success, as well as maintaining our country's competitiveness in the global economy. The Commission is recommending that states count results from science assessments for accountability purposes, and that a reauthorized No Child Left Behind law should include science, along with reading and math, and all of it in its goal of 100% proficiency by the year 2014. A lot of individuals have put pressure on the Commission to extend that, and we decided as a Commission, no, we're going to stay by the year 2014. In addition to holding schools accountable for results, No Child Left Behind presently contains a series of interventions for consistently struggling schools. These include providing options for students in schools that miss their state's AYP goals, as well as an escalating series of interventions and eventual sanctions for turning around chronically struggling schools. Unfortunately, students have been unable to access those options, such as public school choice, as well as free tutoring, in the numbers that its authors in this country envisioned. Nationally, less than 1% of eligible children were able to take advantage of their choice option, and less than 17% of eligible children have taken advantage of the free tutoring option. The Commission was very concerned about these very low levels of participation rates, and to respond to these issues, we have made a number of recommendations that will ensure that more students are able to access these options and that these are quality options. For example, to improve access to public school choice, the Commission recommends requiring schools that make more space available for public school choice up to 10% of the slots in each high-performing school. We would also require an annual independent audit of a district's available space. This audit would both ensure school districts are maximizing public school choice opportunities and not further overcrowding schools which are already legitimately full. The Commission also recommends making it easier for students to access supplemental education services, free tutoring, by requiring districts to offer space in school for private providers of tutoring services, and to provide multiple enrollment periods for eligible students throughout the year. We also recommend simplifiable enrollment periods for eligible students throughout the year. We also recommend simplifying the process for parents seeking to learn about options available for their children by requiring districts to identify and publicize a person or office as a point of contact for them to get that information. However, the Commission strongly believes that we must also assure that options, such as tutoring, are effective as helping students improve performance. States have not focused on whether the providers they approve are actually helping children learn. Parents do not have any information on which are the best and the most effective providers for their children. And to respond to these issues, we are recommending both a national evaluation of the overall quality of supplemental service providers, as well as requiring states to evaluate whether these providers are actually effective in producing learning gains by their students. We also recommend that if a provider is not producing learning gains, then they should no longer be able to provide supplemental